On our visit to Southern Africa, we visited a number of places, including Cape Town, Stellenbosch, Kruger National Park, Durban, Hluhluwe iMfolozi National Park, and Victoria Falls. We landed at Cape Town Airport. We were picked up by our driver and took the 30-minute drive into the city, passing the huge township of Langa. Our base for our stay in Cape Town was the area of Sea Point. On our first morning, we strolled along the promenade watching the paragliders landing from their flights from Signal Hill and Lion's Head. The walk continues through Greenpoint Park, passing the Cape Town National Stadium and onto the V&A waterfront. The V&A waterfront is full of bars, restaurants, live local bands and a number of activities, including boat trips around the harbour. We also visited the impressive aquarium at the waterfront, and we were lucky enough to arrive at feeding time. The following day turned out to be one of the highlights of our trip, a helicopter flight over the city and surrounding area. We made our way down to the heliport near the waterfront and met our helicopter pilot named Sammy. Sammy had a friendly, professional attitude and a great sense of humour. We lifted off and slowly climbed to 2,000 feet, giving us truly spectacular views of the city and a backdrop of Table Mountain. We flew towards the Cape of Good Hope with a superb view of the coastline and the town and beach of Camps Bay. We then turned slowly inland, making our way around the hinterland and passing the famous vineyards below, before making our way towards Table Mountain.
Wow. That is dramatic.
Isn't it fantastic? God, that is incredible.
All too soon, we were flying back towards the city, passing over the main port and landing back at the waterfront. This flight turned out to be a truly memorable experience. No trip to Cape Town would be complete without a visit to Table Mountain. It's best to get there early before the crowds arrive. The rotating cable car takes you quickly to the top station. Once on top of the mountain, there are some absolutely dramatic views of the city below and of the coastal town of Camps Bay and the infamous Robben Island sitting out in the bay. And of course, it's the perfect place to take all those dramatic photographs. We took a bus tour down to the Cape of Good Hope. Our first stop was the small fishing village of Hoot Bay. We boarded a small boat and set out towards Seal Island. This island was covered in seals, basking in the sunshine. Next stop was Boulders Beach to visit the penguin colony. There are boardwalks above the beach that provide a good platform to get up close to the penguins and their newborn chicks. Once we entered the national park, we left the bus and mounted bicycles to ride up to our lunch stop, which was about 8 kilometres away. At the Cape, we took the funicular up to the lighthouse for dramatic views over the Cape. We then walked about 4 kilometres down the boardwalk to the coastline, passing a number of baboons. Before a photo stop at the iconic sign. We took the short drive from Cape Town to the world famous vineyards of Stellenbosch. The surrounding area of this town is stunning, with vineyards backed by imposing mountains. We visited a number of wineries and tasted a variety of superb wines. Along with the wines, there was some excellent food on offer. Stunning scenery, great wines, and new friends. To see a completely different aspect of life in this area, we took a trip to the township of Kayamandi, which lies on the outskirts of Stellenbosch. Our guide for this visit was local resident Tambi. Tambi informed us that up to 70,000 residents live in Kayamandi. Sadly, some of the living conditions are little more than tin shacks, and many of the businesses are made from old shipping containers. But the people we met could not have been more friendly. The highlight for us was meeting the kids of the township with their homemade toys. They seemed so excited to engage with us, and their beautiful smiles were quite moving. From Cape Town, we flew to Kruger National Park via Johannesburg. Our flight into Kruger landed at Sokuza Airport. We then made our way to our camp at Sabi River Bush Lodge. We set off on our first game drive at around 4:30 with our guide Douglas, and within 5 minutes we encountered a big bull elephant feeding in the bush. Then we saw several giraffe feeding from the high bushes. There was an abundance of wildlife, from kudu to hyena, a herd of impala, cute little monkeys, the majestic rhino, and of course all those wonderful photo opportunities. Far too soon, our first game drive was over, but there was always another day. On our second day, Lucky was our driver and guide. We set off in light drizzle, but this soon turned to torrential rain. But the clouds cleared and the game came out. Lucky then noticed some fresh lion tracks and decided to follow them. And then, in a clearing about 300 metres away, we saw a lion surveying its territory. Then there was a quick glimpse of a leopard. After seeing rhino and elephant, we saw water buffalo, which completed the so-called list of the Big Five, and another wonderful day in the African bush. On our final game drive in Kruger Park, we came upon a group of elephants that moved towards us and stopped about 10 metres from our jeep, and they were feeding on marula. They stood around flapping their great ears and swaying their trunks. Then a baby elephant walked out of the troop, stood right in front of us and proceeded to do a kind of 2-minute dance for us. Luckily, we caught this on film so we can relive this special moment. Once again, there was a huge amount of game to view and to get up close to. And as the sun set over the African bush, we both realised what a special time this had been in Kruger National Park. From Cape Town, we took the 90-minute flight to the city of Durban. There we made our way over to the impressive Moses Mabhida Sports Stadium, where we joined an organised tour that allowed us to walk on the pitch, visit the dressing rooms and the presidential suite. We also watched the bungee jumpers falling high above us from the stadium roof. We then decided to go on a Segway tour, a first for both of us. We set off along Durban's impressive seafront promenade, weaving in and out of cyclists and walkers. The Ushaka Marine World was next on our destination, where they have a superb aquarium and a large shark tank. We finished off our visit at their dolphin show. The following day started with a stroll along the promenade, watching the surfers. We stopped off for a cooling drink and to watch the girl band African Divas. We made our way over to Greyville Racecourse, where we enjoyed our afternoon in the Gold Lounge, and Mandy even managed to pick out a few winners. The following day we were on the move again, driving east of Durban, and our guide and driver was Sybil. Our first stop was at the Wild Cat Sanctuary that looks after injured and orphaned cats. The highlight was the 2 cheetahs, and we were so lucky to get so close to them. We then drove on to Hluhluwe iMfolozi National Park. Once again, there was a wonderful array of wildlife. At one point, a bull elephant decided that we got a bit too close to him, and so we made our retreat. On our final day, we drove over to the St. Lucia wetlands area. We boarded a boat and spent time watching the river wildlife. This lazy boat trip up the river was a great way to end our visit to Durban and the surrounding area. From Johannesburg, we took the 90-minute flight to Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. We were picked up at the airport and taken to our accommodation at Pamushi Lodge. At around 4 p.m, we were driven down to the jetty to the banks of the mighty Zambezi River. We boarded a boat and set sail for a sunset cruise. We were soon alerted to a group of hippopotamus close to the bank feeding in the shallows. And we got some good shots of them opening those huge and powerful jaws. As we turned for home, we could see in the distance the huge clouds of spray that are caused by the famous Victoria Falls. The next day we made an early start and wandered down to Victoria Falls National Park. From the entrance you walk down a tree-lined path towards the falls. You actually hear the thunder of the water before you can see them, and then you come into a clearing and see this almighty sight of this deluge of water falling nearly 100 metres to the bottom. The awesome power of this wall of water is a sight to behold. Words are not enough. It's truly breathtaking, and it continues for nearly a mile. To dry off, we took a walk over the famous railway bridge that separates Zimbabwe from Zambia. The views from the bridge are so impressive, and there are lots of colourful characters crossing the border. From the bridge, we walked about 400 metres to the Outlook Cafe, which is perched on the walls of the gorge. Here we stopped for lunch and a refreshing drink. From the cafe, it was a 10-minute walk to the impressive Victoria Falls River Hotel. The following day we were back on safari as we took a game drive through Zambezi National Park. We saw plenty of game on the drive before having lunch on the banks of the Zambezi River with our guide and driver named Eddie. In the evening we returned to the Zambezi River for a dinner. We set sail at 4:30 and cruised to within 1 kilometre of the falls. Once again, seeing wild animals on and around the water. Then we drove over to Victoria Falls Safari Lodge Hotel, a beautiful place with a fine restaurant. Before dinner we sat on the deck of the Buffalo Bar that overlooks a waterhole in the bush, and we saw a number of animals taking a late night drink. One of the most impressive sights was the huge skyline with a beautiful sunset and cloud formations in the distance, and even the odd crack of lightning from a distant storm. We had a delicious meal and a front row seat to the waterhole, or a perfect way to finish off our African adventure.